good morning, and Lothdale, a Podrick, Shunnadeve, if you're Irish or half Irish or had drank a Guinness once. Happy Patrick's Day. It is the American Scouser TV pre-match for the FA Cup game against Manchester United. We have Gally, we have Brian, we have Suzy with some fantastic flag. I think he's got the Ivory Coast one upside down because it's the same flag. It's great. That's why I always support the Ivory Coast in the African Nations Cup. But we have a big game to talk about other than my waffling. Gally, how are you?
I'm doing good. Went to the biggest festival of Irishness in Massachusetts and New England yesterday, the annual St. Patrick's Day road race. They shut down the entire city of Holyoke, and they have where the largest St. Patrick's Day parade on the East Coast will be held today. They blocked that off, and they let runners run the course or the parade route, but more importantly, they let all of the people drink beer and walk amongst the city and just live in debauchery for a day with basically no laws or rules. So thank you, Holyoke. We appreciate you. My liver, not so much.
So essentially just a normal day in Massachusetts then.
Pretty much. And I will say American Scouser will represent it because my wife, Kelly, and I both had our American Scouser koozies, keeping our hands from falling off with frozen beers in them all day.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. Brian, how are you?
Doing good. We're doing really good.
And Suzy, how are you? Represented
I'm good,
there.
Macca, thanks. How are you?
Yep. I'm good. It'll be even better now if we get the look of the Irish, because we have Creevy and Kelleher in goal. But with that, let's just go look at the lineup. Done in that inimitable, stupid fashion of putting it in numerical order rather than positional order. But it's Kelleher in goal. It's Van Dijk and is Kwanzaa in central defence. It is Gomez and Robertson as the fullbacks. The midfield we always want to see McAllister, Szoboszlai, and Endo sitting and holding, and then Nunez, Diaz, and Salah up top. Gally, it's as strong as you could expect, isn't it?
Yeah, it's our first 11 right now, and I mean that not even tongue in cheek. I believe that Gomez has made it, that he is getting a starting position until someone takes it from him, and I mean his play takes it from him. I think he's starting at right back, left back. He might even start at center back at times. I think he's earned that. I think Klopp has made it very clear he had no idea that Joe Gomez could do this, but when asked, he's proven he can, and therefore he's going to go with a guy that he truly trusts, and I think he offers you the positional ability if you need to bring in a sub in one of 3 or 4 different positions and bring in the best player you want and take off anyone if someone were to be injured. And I think right now the squad is still in a little flux and guys coming back from injuries. I think having a Swiss Army knife like Gomez is so important, and I think it's really important today that we're strong at the back, not because I expect a flying Man United attack, but the way they will beat us if they do is by hitting us on the counter if we make mistakes in midfield. So to me, defensive stability, this is the best we could do. And that is just crazy ass because the best right back in the world isn't available. The kid we think has been playing the best for 2 months isn't starting. And we're playing a 19-year-old who none of us knew how to pronounce his name before the season began. Yet it's still the strongest back line we could have, which is it's a credit to what Klopp and the coaching staff have done with this squad, in my opinion.
Suzy, have you any reservations at all about that, or is that a fairly secure lineup?
No, it's no. I think that's the strongest lineup we can get. I think I knew Gomez was going to start because he did come off halftime last game. Surprised Bradley isn't starting, but that's probably toss up of a coin, really. I don't think Klopp trusts Gomez as a centre back as much as he trusts him as a fullback. So that's probably wise playing a fullback. But no, I mean we can go straight to the prediction of scores, and I think 4-1 to us.
Brian, in terms of the bench, we have Gravenberch back, we have Tsimikas, we have Elliott, we have Gakpo, we have Bobby Clark, who's been doing fantastic, and Connor Bradley. I mean, with all the injuries we've suffered this season, it's not a bad lineup to have on the bench, is it?
Oh no, not at all, right there. Especially with Bobby Clark right there coming off his first goal on Thursday. I think he'll be definitely up on his feet. But yeah, I mean Elliott right there coming off the bench is a great option right there for this for speed and for attacking them. I mean, especially with their their midfield with Manu, who's fairly young. I mean, McTominay, who's their leading goal scorer. I mean, so I think that we have a good potential to go there to take it to the second half right there, even if we need to right there to put more speed on the pitch.
Speaking of speed, Gally, Gomez in the fullback position and Kwanzaa in centre back. Do you think that may be something to do with the pace differential between the two, and that it might become important to actually, if we play the high line and the offside trap, we're going to need somebody who can get back quicker than Gomez does?
Yeah, I think that probably plays a role in this. I also think that with everything Great Bradley does, what he really does well is go forward. And I think that they're going to ask Gomez to be cognizant, because whether it's Rashford on the left or it's Garnacho, either way, it's their most attacking player coming down that left-hand side. And let's all, all the Eddie Munster jokes and all the making fun of Garnacho aside, he's been an absolute revelation for that club. He's been their best player by a mile, and he's the most threatening player they have, and that includes Bruno Fernandes, in my opinion, playing against us today. And that, I understand Højlund's back up top, but to me, Garnacho makes everything go for them. And I think it's really important that you don't let that crowd believe they have a chance today. Because if you look at it, the bench is great, and we have some players coming back, but they bring on senior attacking players who have pedigree. And I don't care how bad Mason Mount's been. These are guys that, at the end of the day, I think you would rather bring on a veteran in extra time of a knockout match if you have to get there in potential penalties. And I know Klopp rolled everybody out in the last round of the FA Cup, and they did a great job. But let's be honest, we were as surprised as Klopp was that they were able to beat Southampton with those kids coming into the lineup. They played so well. So this is going to be a really interesting one. I love the Reds here. I think we win it handily because I think Nunez and Salah do the business early. But if the game stays tight and late, we have a few players from the bench, but I think this could be a really dicey one. So I would love to see them just kind of get out there, get in our footing, and play it strong.
So before we bring in our resident scouser, make sure you're commenting. We want to see what everybody's opinions on the lineup are. We want to see what you think of our team. We'll get to the United team in a second, and also what you think the scores are going to be. But let's bring in Cozzy. Cozzy, how are you with this lineup this morning?
Good, mate. Yeah, I think it's probably the strongest he can go in terms of what he's got. Probably arguments Bradley or Gomez, but the way Gomez has been playing, Gomez has been fantastic. So that's probably the argument. But yeah, I mean, we've got nothing next week. He's got 2 weeks off, so you may as well go strong. What do you say? What are you resting legs for? They're going to get the look on legs run off them in international break anyway. So there's no point in you saving them, is there? So yeah, super happy with the teammate, to be honest. The timings kind of fell right where the manager doesn't have to rotate, which is nice. That works out better for Liverpool fans, of course. Because if there was a league game on the weekend, I think we'd all expect 4 or 5 to come out still. Or midweek, or like a European game, for example. So, super pleased, strong as he can go. And it's probably the last hurrah before we start getting some lads back. Of this crazy run, probably since mid-February till now. Now feels like an end point. I don't know about you guys. I feel like we're putting a bow. This last game is like a bow on that part of the season. And when we come back, we're hopefully going to have some big buck and boss lads back. And you go, oh yeah, Liverpool, now can't get Kostas on the bench or Bobby Clark on the bench. And you're like, well, they've been great. And now we can't get them on the bench anymore. And that's the moment I'm excited for.
Suzy, the front five, Szoboszlai, McAllister, and then the 3 lads up front. United really should be not just a little bit wary, but a lot of wary of what they can do if they're on form, shouldn't they?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I just don't. It's a shame Maguire's not playing, but I don't know. Like Wan-Bissaka, he doesn't. God forbid I was ever a Man United supporter. I just won't even turn the TV on. I'll just go back to sleep. It's Nana in goal. Like we should have trounced them at home. I can't believe we didn't even score past them at home. Like they're just there for the taking, I think.
I think it's hard though, because they came in and played a certain way at Anfield, which we will not be able to do at Old Trafford. Like the fans will not allow them just to do what they did, mate. Do you know what I mean? So Liverpool are going to have more chances and probably better openings, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? Where we can open them up a bit more. I watched them last week against Fulham, and Fulham opened them up fucking at will.
Yep.
At will.
Yeah.
So And I know Fulham's had a great win yesterday as well, and they're in good form. But Liverpool are better than
Well,
Fulham.
this is the game of the season. This is definitely the game of the season.
It's their biggest game this season. It's their biggest 100%. Game that they've got left. It's not ours.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We've already had a bigger game in the League Cup final. This is their biggest game. The type of we played them last year and we beat them 7-0. And then that was our biggest game because we had nothing else to play for. We had nothing left of the season. We had to go and basically do something against United, and we did. But this is their biggest game. This is their cup final. Fucking, you're playing Liverpool at home, aren't you? Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I know what you mean, though.
Brian, before we put the lineup up, how important are the two fullbacks going to be? I think Gally has it right. I think Gomez is probably going to be the balancing fullback and maybe not going forward as much, but that means the pressure will be on Robertson to support the attack, doesn't it?
Sorry, my internet was
absolute dial-up connection, isn't it?
That's what happens when you're in the middle of the woods. You can smoke the meat brilliantly in that backyard, but they can't get that high-speed internet up to you.
Honestly, will you change up the fucking beavers running the wheels in the back to get this?
I swear to God, I think we might have to drop Fry because now he's back. Now we don't have the head back, mouth open.
I don't think he is back.
I think we'll get back to Brian when his hamsters are back from their lunch break. So I'll pass that one to you, Susie.
What was the question again?
I can't remember. It was the importance of Robertson if we're going to have Gomez as the balancing fullback.
But Gomez is fast. He's low key fast. He's a good, quickie, pacey player. And he can put some decent crosses in. So I think he's still going to attack down the right as much as we don't think he will. He's just so low key, and he's probably one of the fastest players we have, and he gets unnoticed. He does need to watch out for Rashford, obviously, or if Garnacho plays on the other side. But Dallo, it's not really a threat. I don't think. I think that Man United
creates a lot of opportunities for United. He's a winger, not a fullback, to be fair.
He's also a part, don't make with his left back, isn't he, today? So it's not like he's playing his natural position, is it? You know what I mean?
Good point.
Yeah.
But I think that the biggest threat's going to come from Fernandes and his shithousery and diving around all over the pitch. And Rashford can blow hot and cold. If he can have a cold game to that, I don't really go into Man United games confident, but I really am today.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm confident at all, guys, right? I just feel relaxed about it. I'm just okay with it. Whatever happens, kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? It feels a bit weird going to a game at Old Trafford, but I know it's not because of their form. Because listen, I've seen Liverpool growing up, maybe absolutely dog shit, and watch United come to Anfield, we beat them 1-0, or we just go to Old Trafford and beat them 1-0 like Danny Murphy used. Do you know what I mean? So, and we were dog shit. Do you know what I mean? And we had an average side, and they were the best in the league. So there is a part where they might just come and want to spoil the party, but I also don't think they can get away with their tactics. Do you know what I mean? With Dallo left back, so you actually look at Lindelof. Lindelof's been doing jobs at left back in the last few games for them, but now Dallo's going left back and Bissaka's back for them. We don't know how fit he is for the start because he's barely played, and now you got Dallo. You know what I mean, on the fullback. So there's a part of this where Rashford's going to have to do a lot of legwork here on the left to protect Dallo a little bit, I think, because of the fullback situation. So Rashford's going to have to do a lot of defending, I think, because again, Salah does cheat. Salah will cheat, and Salah will stay up the field and 25 yards further forward than Luis Diaz when we're defending, kind of thing, for a counter attack. So there's a part where we can pin them back in the box as well. The other part as well with this Mainu coming in. Mainu's great. No qualms at all. Really, really good footballer, right? Don't know his best position yet, but I think he's really good. But that was McTominay's position. When McTominay was getting all the goals, he was bombing in late. But now McTominay's kind of playing like this weird 8 role, where he looks a bit lost as well now for them. So it's going to be interesting, man. They're like a bunch of spare parts still trying to get things together. Where Liverpool look a lot more complete. So I just think the timing's for Liverpool to go there and win, which will be nice.
Gally, we talk about Rashford. Does the success of his game today depend on what mood he is when he shows up, what mood he's in? Because he can be quite a moody player, and if something, maybe his egg sandwiches weren't the right temperature or something like that before the game, If he comes out onto the field with a scowl on his face, that's probably going to be a good time for the Liverpool players, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it probably, to Kazi's point, I think it makes a great point about Rashford being required to come back and defend, and I think that's probably leads to the manager's decision of playing Gomez at right and Bradley coming off the bench later. And then you can always, if you need to give Robertson a blow, you can slide Gomez to left. He gives so many more options, but the more Robertson goes forward, the more Rashford's required to help and defend, or they get back. And Kazi's spot on too on the second point is they came to Anfield looking to make sure they didn't lose 5-0 so Ten Hag didn't lose his job. Let's be real. They played to get lucky, like, Mourinho did that year where they played for the 0-0 draw and they played that long ball to Lukaku. Yeah. He headed it down to Rashford, and the next thing you know, we lose 1-0. Yeah. And it was completely against the run of play that day. They can't do that in a cup final where you got to have a winner. And to Kazi's point, even if they wanted to do that and play 2 penalties at 0-0, they can't, because they will get booed off the pitch at Old Trafford if they do that against Liverpool especially. Which I do think allows us to play our game, allows us to play more on the front foot and be aggressive. What this lineup does allow them to do a little bit is sit, but, not having Casemiro, even though he is a, 2/3 the class level of the Casemiro from United, maybe even less of that than he was before. Yeah. He is still a veteran player, and in a big game like this, he can score you a big goal, or he can make a big tackle. He's not Endo at this point, even. He's not Rodri by any means, but he is still a very good defensive midfielder and leader, and not having him at all in the squad, I think, is massive for them today, because they're asking Manu and McTominay to do yeoman's work that Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri weren't able to do last weekend. And we're talking about freaking Scott McTominay and a kid who I still haven't figured out. Kazi doesn't know his best position. I'm not sure how to pronounce his goddamn name. And I don't think he has told them how to do it either yet.
Kazi, I saw a statistic there somewhere last week that Onana actually has quite a number of clean sheets that you would expect from him. But he always seems to remind me of David James, because back in the day, David James would regularly be, like top of the clean sheet kind of thing. But then he would let 4 easy goals by Norwich go past them, kind of like he's so inconsistent. Are we going to be able to put enough pressure on him that the mistakes come out, or are we going to start this game cagey, which we often do when it looks like we should be running away with it from the start?
It's a tough one, this, mate, because Onana's been really good since Christmas, since the turn of the new year. He actually has to turn the corner a little bit.
Yeah.
He looks like his most settled, which is...
We went to AFCON, that's why.
Yeah.
They were conceding.
But there's a party up for Liverpool where you can reopen wounds here if you score in the first 10, and you can really reopen them up, because the one thing that United do when they concede is panic, because they have to feel like they can get back on the front foot. So, because that's a mentally weak side. They can't play. For example, Liverpool go 1-0 down and we can just play our... Let them have 10... you're going to be on top for 10, 15 minutes, then we'll come back on top, Liverpool. So you're going to have your 10, 15 minutes, but you're only going to get 1. And then Liverpool will work them way back into the game. United are the opposite. They go one goal down and then concede to panic and go, oh my God, we have to score in the next 5 minutes, kind of thing, which will open them up again. Yeah, but Onana's been pretty good for them since the turn of the new year. But again, open all wounds, innit? As you just said, Mac, you know what I mean? The David James is actually a great comparison, I think. Because David James was a top keeper. But then he'll have a weird day and you're just like, oh, you should have saved all 3 of them and we just lost the game 3-2. Do you know what I mean? And he should have saved all 3. James always had that in him throughout his whole career. It's a really good actually comparison. I never thought of it like that. But he's sketchy at best and he plays in patches, but he's in a richer frame of form than what he's used to. I think there's an argument here though for Liverpool where if you score in the first 10, I think the floodgates could open for them. They will not dig in. They haven't got that mentality in them. They haven't got that desire in them to do the hard work when you have to dig in a game. And I think that's Liverpool's biggest strength this season, is digging in moments. There's got to be times. I think that this is what City and Liverpool do and Arsenal do now better than anyone else in the league and better than anyone else in Europe. When the opposition team's having a good 10, we let them have their 10. Don't try and fight them and open yourselves up. Just dig in, let them have their 10, 15. we'll do a good couple of tackles and we'll get on the ball and take 40 seconds on the ball, and then they'll shit themselves again. And that's what happens. United are the complete opposite. United fucking, as soon as anything goes wrong, the slightest bit they can get out the party, mate, they get out the party. As soon as the fucking doors open, they're like, we're out. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to know. So I genuinely think if Liverpool score in the first 10, we might see like another Ollie day, you know what I mean? As much as I think it'll be a close game, but if we do score early, we could kill them.
So Z, seeing as you have the Ireland flag in your background, and we'll flip to the other side of the field, Caoimhín Kelleher, we know he's fantastic. He's genuinely, like, as has been said, I believe by you so many times, he's somebody else's top class number one. He's just unfortunate to be at a club that has Alisson Becker as their number
Best
one.
keeper in the world.
But with the look of the Irish, hopefully today, is Caoimhín Kelleher going to be a defining player for us in the sense of making those saves that he made against City? Or are we going to put so much pressure on United that he's essentially going to be able to have his bacon and cabbage, if you want to be genuine about it, or his corned beef and cabbage if you're North American, and a couple of points of Guinness while the lads do the rest of the work?
I think it'll be tested a couple of times, but not as much as what say Arsenal put him under pressure or whatever. Going back to what Kazi was saying, like Man United, they lack leaders. Apart from McTominay, there's no one to lead that team. Like we have 5 captains on our team, and that's a huge difference. And it's what I was saying the other day with difference between our support and Manchester United support. You see when Manchester City scored against us, our fans started singing and they supported us. With Manchester United, once you score against them, their crowd turns against them. And those 2 factors alone, just the leaders that we have and being able to turn the crowd against them, I think those will be the defining factors. Van Dijk, he's imperious right now. It's hard to get past him. So I don't think Kelleher will have too many problems, but I think they will have like a couple of tasty shots, which will test Kelleher maybe a couple of times in the game, but he's not going to keep pressure, I don't think.
Okay, let's bring in the big boss man, and I don't mean the wrestler from the 1980s. Demuchin. What do you think of the lineup?
What a fucking line that is.
It is a great line, and I'll be honest, and now I have it in my head. All I'm going to be able to see all day is the big boss man putting those handcuffs on the ring rope and handcuffing someone to the turnbuckle, hitting them with a billy club. I love the fact that only in the WWE, or at that time the WWF, would they think the best idea was to have an overweight white guy from the South be a persona of a cop that just puts handcuffs and batons people who probably don't look like him. Unbelievable. Well done. If you can offend someone, Vince McMahon made $1 on it.
I'll bang into the idea of Tamuchin just coming in with sunglasses and a sunshine for the Monday show.
Dude, I don't know anything about wrestling, so this is going all over my head. I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So quick,
But this house, man, I am nervous as heck. I do like the lineup, though. I do like Gomez over there. So I don't know who these people are. I really I'm hoping these are compliments. That's all I gotta say.
Always.
They're all compliments. It's almost as complimentary as when people refer to you as a dictator. Right up there with that.
Hey, if we win this game, you guys can call me whatever the hell you want. That's all I'm after. I mean, Kazi always talks about like that feeling you get, like that Kazi gets you before Everton games. Yeah. I get before United games, like tied up in a knot over here. But the first goal is huge. I think in a game like this, I heard you guys talking about it earlier too, because I feel like if we get the early goal, we can make them fall apart and have Old Trafford turn on them. But at the same time, my bigger fear and concern, I guess, is the fact that we do give those few chances in the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? We just got to hope that they don't take that, because there's always, every game we've given a couple. Kelleher has come through, or the other team has kind of wasted those chances and stuff like that. So we just don't want to give up the early goal. But I think if we control this game, I know you look at those lineups in terms of form, in terms of game discipline and stuff like that, we should really win this, but you never know in these United games.
Kazi, being the resident scout, so the Man United. Well, let's not go the club route. The Manchester versus Liverpool whole cultural clash. They had to close. Probably, I don't know. I remember wearing the flares in the 90s when all the Manchester stuff came out. But Liverpool obviously had the culture and the music and the football team. Does the FA Cup add more spice to this tie?
Yeah, because it's straight knockouts, isn't it? There's just something a little bit extra there. But also, it's not Liverpool's biggest game this season. And Liverpool have had a bigger game than this one this season, which is the cup final. But yeah, man, listen, there's no bigger game in world football, is it? It's Man United Liverpool. And I say it all the time. The only reason why every other team in England exists is because you get bored watching Liverpool United every week. You exist, so Liverpool can play you. You exist, so Man United can play you. Because that's the only reason why you're needed in my life. Because there's no bigger game in football. I'll take your Rock Boca Juniors, River Plate. I'll take your Fenerbahce, Galatasaray, and your Belgrades and all that. There's no bigger game in world football. It just is what it is. They're the two biggest teams in England by a mile, not even close. And then they are the two biggest teams in the world with Real Madrid.
The crazy announcer Ray Hudson with all the crazy calls on the Champions League. He has a story when he's like 10. He was literally like laying in bed, and it was like Sunday afternoon football, the match of the week, and it was Liverpool United, and they were big Newcastle supporters, but it didn't matter. You watched that match, and his dad kept coming in and being like, "Guy, get up." And his dad was like a hard ass, like, iron worker type guy. And he's like, "Get up, Liverpool United's on." He's like, "Dad, I can't. I don't feel good." And he's like, "Ray, it's Liverpool United. You better be dying." And he said, "Dad, I don't know. They rushed him to the hospital because he wouldn't get out of bed. His appendix had broke. He would have been dead if they hadn't brought him to the hospital." And he never becomes a world football player and an American coach. But he joked. He's like, "Liverpool United saved my life because my dad was willing to not watch it because it meant I must be that sick." And I think that's where it speaks to like what Kazi's saying, to like the gravity of it in England. And obviously in Tamuchin's household, it's between him and his brother. So it's even bigger. It's not just England. It stretches all across the damn globe. But I think it's really exciting. I think it's going to be a really cagey, interesting one. So it's going to be neat to me to see how this all transpires and plays out.
I hate the fact that, like United fans can go around as like downplaying this a lot more though, right? I mean, they're almost like used to getting their ass beat in the recent years. So they can kind of like, take it as if something happens. Otherwise, it's a normal thing of, that's how things go, kind of an attitude to it. Kind of like annoys me because it's like they can't lose. Well, at least for my brother.
I think they're just immune to getting their ass kicked in the last few years, as you say. But there's a part of it again, because this is their whole season now. This is it.
Yeah.
All they got to play for me. They're not finishing in the top four, are they? And then if Liverpool, by the way, if Liverpool beat them today, they're begging Liverpool to win the Europa League so they get the 5th spot in the fucking Champions League, and they might have a chance that way. So they're fucking begging for Liverpool to win in Europe as well. So that's how pathetic their fucking fan base has gone.
Yeah, they're rooting for West Ham, Liverpool, and Villa to win trophies so they can backdoor into a tournament they used to claim they were, had a loyalty.
Even though 3 times, fucking 3 times, in the space of 100 years? You fucking crap.
Yes, so see, how much of a downfall is it for Manchester United that their biggest game of the season is the quarter-final of the FA Cup?
It speaks volumes on them, doesn't it? I mean, I think they'll be after it's the only way they can stop us doing the quad. Obviously, you've got the league game coming up. I think that'll be a tougher game, really. But it's like Kazi was saying, without Man United and Liverpool, there is no Premier League. That's why they lost their shit when ESL was like on the rise. It was Manchester United and Liverpool that were spearheading it out of the Premier League. Without them, there is no football in England. So we, despite the fortunes of the teams, and we went through it when Man United were dominating, and we're envious of them. But it's always been Liverpool, Man United, Manchester City. They have no rivals, and they just decided to be plastic and just jump on our bandwagon, and that's what Chelsea did when Mourinho was there. But I think the only biggest rivals we had apart from Man United were Arsenal back in the late 80s and early 90s, and this is the biggest game no matter what competition, and thankfully we're the ones on top now, and there's no Alex Ferguson around, and we can be happy.
The funny thing is, right, this isn't even our biggest game against Manchester United this season.
No, it's not.
You know what I mean? This isn't even our biggest game against you. This is your biggest game by a mile. What do you do if you finish? Do you know what? I know the funniest thing might be as well, and if we do lose today, touch wood we don't, they will probably just draw City at Wembley. So you've got to travel all the way down to London and get your ass kicked by your local rival anyway, and then fuck off back home. Amazing.
Before we get into score predictions, just for Timuchin's benefit, there you go. It's the big boss, man.
Yeah, I see the resemblance. Yes, he has a hat.
The beard.
Picture of when he was in the WWE.
Yeah, if you showed him in uniform with the glasses on, maybe a younger version with a little less gray in that beard of yours.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of a resemblance there. He's probably got you by a good 8 to 12 inches, but there's a solid resemblance there. He's got me by a good 7 to 8 inches and a good 150 pounds. So don't kid yourself.
He was like a big boss man, wasn't he? He wasn't called little boss.
Too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too much.
Once again. So let me ask you guys this though. By the way, I know we're gonna get to predictions, but the team, the huge conversation has been like, do these guys play for Ten Hag and stuff like that? I'm assuming the players know that. If they're out of this competition, it does put Ten Hag in like an even worse situation. Do you guys think what do you guys think the mentality of the players are going into the FA Cup game?
It's not that. Well, we've
give a shit.
We've seen what they're like before for other managers. This is what I'm saying. Like, how often can you change managers? Like, is it Ten Hag? Because it was Mourinho's fault, it was Van Gaal's fault, and he blamed fucking managers for years. It was Ralf Rangnick's fault. And by the sounds of it, Ralf Rangnick was like a lovely human being for what he just done it for the Austrian manager. And he seems like a great fella. And so it's always someone else's fault. So these are the players. Yes. So it's the fucking, as much as Ten Hag, I don't think is tactically a good enough manager to manage for Manchester United long term. There's a part where you've got to go, well, you know what? The man deserves a fucking chance. Because the lads he's actually brought in were kind of successful. Martinez has been unlucky for injuries this year. Decent enough centre-half. He's not amazing, but he's decent. Casemiro's legs kind of fell off towards the end, but his first season, he was excellent. Anthony's the one, isn't it? That's always going to be his stiff.
He unravels everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I know Anthony kills him because he managed Anthony. That's what kills him. And then he also picked Anthony over the one at West Ham. The Ajax. Kudus. And he picked Anthony over Kudus, and that sounds like fucking, again, picking Suzanne Boyle over Margot Robbie. But it's just like, so it's difficult, isn't it? You know what I mean? But I know what you're saying about the mentality, but we've seen them throw the towel in before. Gary hit the nail on the head when he came to Anfield this year and he put the 10 behind the ball. If he goes out and gets fucked 5-0, you cannot get fucked fucking 7-0 and 5-0 at Anfield and expect to keep your job. You just can't. Like, even when City under Ferguson beat United 6-1, the year after they won the league, he was like, that ain't happening again. I'm going to win the league. Do you know what I mean? So there's balances to this, but we've seen that mentality. We can reopen the old wounds, I think, and really kill them if you score early. Really hurt.
Yeah, after that 6-1, Fergie said, you know what, fuck this. I got to win one more before I leave because I ain't leaving with those bastards winning. I'll go sign the striker from our biggest rival of the last 20 years, and you bring Van Persie in to literally help you win 1 year's title. It's kind of a crazy one.
He looked at the team mid-season and went, you know what, these are all fucking shit, Like, I don't fancy this. Everyone's legs have fell off.
To Muchin's point, in my opinion, when it comes to Ten Hag, I think Ten Hag will probably lose his job at the end of the season, and I don't think he would have if the Enos deal doesn't go through. I think because they're bringing in their new director of football, new ownership taking over football operations, and I do think that the fact that Liverpool will be looking for a new manager at the same time makes them get a little nervous that the right type of guy, and there's going to be 3 guys, right, who want to move to England for big money from their smaller clubs, and only one of them can get the Liverpool job. So that means there's a couple other jobs that are open. And if a De Zerbi tells Brighton he wants to leave, but then doesn't get the job, United may swoop in and say, you know what, let's sign him now before he replaces Pep in 2 years. Or let's sign this guy. And I'm just using names. I'm not trying to, and some of them won't be up there. I think when it comes to Ten Hag, his style doesn't work with this type of collection of players. I think they needed someone who could almost like Klopp speak to the players. Because you got to change Mason Mount's mentality. You have to change some of these losers' mentalities. Like Victor Lindelof probably can play some football at a lower level, but he's an absolute loser. He's played for 4 different managers, and every one of them has put him in and out of the side because he never worked hard enough to fight for it. And some of them just aren't good enough. So I'm with Kazi. I think at the end of the day, when you look at Eric Ten Hag's tombstone at United, it will say, here lies the man who couldn't make Sancho work and replaced him with Antony.
Oh, no.
And Sancho goes back to Dortmund and is banging goals and creating great assists in the Champions League. And I understand he was his own mitigating failure for how he handled that whole bullshit. Yeah. And he's probably a very immature kid. I mean, he ran away from City because he didn't want to try to fight for a spot. So he went to somewhere else for a cheap fee. That being said, Ten Hag, it's all going to come down to Antony, in my opinion. The next manager probably figures out how to make some of these pieces work. But if you look at it, Højlund probably will be a success over time. He can score goals. He's young. He's big. He's strong. You know, if we're going to give Klopp credit for bleeding in young players and making them household names, it's not fair. Garnacho will probably be on even bigger clubs' radar in a few years. He's a really talented lad, and Ten Hag gave him that job.
Most wanted list.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother story. I mean, I already gave you the Eddie Munster look earlier. He does kind of look like he is the son of a werewolf.
It's a good point what you say, though, mate. Will United bite because of Liverpool looking for a new manager? Bayern Munich are looking for a new manager as well. There's an argument Chelsea could be looking for a new manager. So you're actually at the stage where do United go now, or do they go, let's just sit back for a second and evaluate January next year, and let's see what Liverpool do, let's see what Bayern do. Can they go and get Tuchel? I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe there's something like that. Maybe Nagelsmann's going to finish after the World Cup, isn't he, for Germany? So United might bite. I'm not sure, man, but it's interesting for United, man. They've got a big 12 months.
Well, Nagelsmann's going to Dortmund, right?
Has he gone to Dortmund? Has that been confirmed now?
He pretty much
after the Germany.
Great. This is getting my mind off the game. So thanks, guys. This helps. Normally, I would be playing FIFA or Call of Duty or something before the kickoff, so I'm not thinking about the game. This really helps.
Yeah, we're using United's instability and angst to cure yours. Yes. So you're welcome.
Yeah. United.
Before we all go and get our coffees or whatever, our beers or our intravenous sedatives before the game starts, let's do a round robin of quick score predictions, starting with Gali. What do you think the score will be?
I'm going to go 3-1, win regular time, and less stress than needed.
Timuchin.
I'll go with my special as well, 3-1. I think we get the first goal, and then we kind of like hopefully put it in cruise.
Susie.
I'll go for 4-1.
4-1. Kazi.
No 5-0. What the hell?
2-0. I think if a team's going to concede as many shots as United do, 20 a game the average, then Liverpool should score.
Yeah, I'd go probably with 2-0, maybe 3-0 in the last minute or something like that, like at a sub goal. Maybe Gomez gets his goal today. Maybe he's the one that scores the first one. That would be fantastic.
Oh, is Darwin going to get a fucking hat trick, Maka?
Yeah, I'll go for it. I'm not going for the Darwin Núñez hat trick today because it's the cup and it's a bit different.
Oh yeah, cool. By the way, if he gets a hat trick, how fucking fuming is he going to be?
Yes.
If he gets a hat trick, it's because I lit a candle to Saint Anthony. That's what that would be the reasoning for that. But we will have a post-match show after the game, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you're liking and subscribing on the social medias, the YouTubes, Instagrams, formerly known as Twitters, Facebooks, and Bebo, possibly smoke signals if you have them, semaphore if you're into that as well. Everywhere, we're everywhere. Because we have so much fantastic content. But enjoy the game. Make sure you have treats for your dog. If you're like Timuchin.
Oh, they're ready, baby.
They're still fat from the other day.
And we will see everybody after the breach. We will get everybody back, and then we will see hopefully a nice, joyous further step forward towards 4 trophies this season. So just remains to say thank you, Gali, thank you, Timuchin, thank you, Suzanne, thank you, Kazi, and thank you, everybody else. Here's some funky trap music for you.
Okay.